Deep within a bleak and dismal era, hidden within the murky internet, lies the headquarters of the most sinister geeks of all time. A Legion on Zoom.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Legion on Zoom. As usual, I'm Ches. Get used to it. It's not going to change.
Yes, exactly. And I am still Miguel, very much so.
And I'm Rod. What's poppin', people?
What is poppin' indeed? What's poppin' is fucking utter insanity over in the MCU. At this point, like, it's allegedly been confirmed by a Sony source, but that's just too crazy. Fucking Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland, like a live action Into the Spider-Verse. Get the fuck out of here. I don't believe that shit, yo. That's bull.
Right, and then plus we got the news before from Doctor Strange being in the movie, Jamie Foxx coming back as Electro. Like, what the hell's going on? But the thing is, I do think it's still rumors, and I think there's some stuff come out where like conflicting information. So, but I'm choosing to ignore that, and I want to live in this potential that we're actually getting Toby, Andrew, and Tom all together in one movie. Jesus Christ, guys, what do you think?
And don't forget about the rumors of Emma Stone and the Harry Osborn from the Amazing Spider-Man movies, right? They're rumored to be appearing in this movie as well.
Oh, really? I haven't heard those rumors.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I'm going to go ahead and think that it's honestly just a lie because of the pandemic. Suicide rates are up. And I think at Marvel, they just want to give people a reason to live. But that's not going to happen.
Dang.
Yo, bro, you think Emma Stone will get powers and become Spider-Gwen? That'll be lit.
What?
Yes,
That would be insane. That'd be insane. That'd be epic. There'd be a lot of money in that. There would be a lot of money in that for Disney.
Yeah, because I do think that's one of the best things to come out of those movies, right? That I really loved Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. Like, she played it really well, and I could see her kicking ass. Like, I could see her, getting fucking spider powers and like that'd be fucking cool.
I would love to see a live action Spider-Gwen suit. Oh my god, that would be so cool.
Yes, man. But like, let's just hope this is for real, because you're saying exactly, they're doing this for suicide prevention. But if it comes out that, it's all rumored, it's not gonna happen, suicide rates are gonna go fucking up. People are gonna be like, fuck this.
Yeah, but then they could be like, hey, we told you that, but here is Eternals and Shang-Chi.
And a lot of people are still gonna be like, all right, who the fuck are these characters? like I don't think even not any one of us know these characters well. Like, I know the Eternals because I've read some of their books, but like not really. Like, okay.
No, yeah, but fine, fair enough. Like, all we can do is hope as far as like a live action Spider-Verse, which is kind of what it's looking like. You imagine like we just get like fucking Tom Hardy just thrown in that shit too. That'd be insane.
It's gonna happen. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
I love Rod's confidence. I want that fucking confidence too.
Well, I mean, as per the data, he has the room to have so much conviction so far.
I mean, that's Sony's biggest gun, right? They never like released their clutches on the Spider-Man franchise because they know how valuable it is. And they can just keep building off of it. And people want the Spider-Verse. We're getting the Batverse, right, in the Flashpoint movie.
Right, because that's the other crazy thing, right? That we've been hearing that if this is fucking true, guys, we're gonna have those two movies parallel, right? We're gonna have this Batverse movie with fucking Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton. That's it, right? Those would be the only Batman right there. Not Pattinson, of course, and then
no.
Maybe we might have the Dean Morgan, Thomas Wayne Batman, and then Spider-Man with all these Spider-Man. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, that's just a giant rumor with some slight confirmation. But something that is fact, though, is, and I'm like super excited. I was so surprised by it. Michael B. Jordan is going to produce a Static Shock live action movie. I'm all for that. That's going to be amazing.
Yes, and weren't we just talking about the Static Shock movie, I think, in the last episode, right? Like that we were thinking it'd be cool as a show. this is great. This is awesome. Like, I'm excited to have somebody like Michael B. Jordan that he really, like, I can tell that he loves comic books. He believes in these characters, and especially like the representation in terms of diversity, what it represents. So I know he's going to be involved to making sure it's a good product. You know, that hopefully it's not just one of those crappy fucking films. But what company's producing this movie? I don't even know. Is it Sony or
I have no idea, but I'm just like
Warner Brothers, right?
Is it Warner Brothers?
I mean, it is a DC
Yeah.
comic book.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't think he could have like had his own production company and then just done the character at will. So I'm pretty sure some type of like partnership with Warner Brothers. But I'm calling it now. Jaden Smith as Static Shock.
Nah.
Calling it now. I see it. Jaden Smith.
It's not too crazy.
Jaden Smith as Static Shock. Watch.
But is he a good actor, Jaden Smith? I don't know. Like, I've seen some of the movies he's been in are not the greatest, no?
I mean, I think there's been what he did the Karate Kid, with what was it with what's this dude's name?
Jackie Chan?
Yeah, with Jackie Chan, the Karate Kid remake, which I didn't see, but I heard okay things.
Me neither.
Then he did some other small roles with his dad. But aside from that,
that other movie nobody saw.
Yeah, exactly. But I still I just see it happening just because of the name, and I don't know. There's something in my gut that's telling me Jaden Smith is going to be Static Shock. It's a matter of time. Watch.
And don't you guys remember also, didn't he have this thing for a while where people were making fun of him because of the tweets or something that he was posting? He was just posting like the dumbest ass shit out there in the world. Like, people were thinking like, be good parents and take his phone away because he's just being an idiot. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know how he is now. I'm not sold by his acting skills. I love Will Smith, but I'm like, that's not good enough, dude. Shit. Like, I don't know. I want somebody that's gonna rock the role, man.
They're gonna cast.
Yeah, I like him. The guy wore a White Lantern Batman costume to his prom. He won me over just with that.
Wait, Jaden Smith?
Yeah. There's pictures online, guys. Look it up. He was White Lantern. That's obscure right there. White Lantern Batman. I think he was just like a White Lantern for like a panel or two or some shit.
Okay. Yep. I just saw it. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm a little bit more sold on this than if he's got that knowledge. Then okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, word. Because I mean, to make that choice, either it was something as base as I just want to go as Batman, but in all white, or if he went as White Lantern Batman, that means he understood like the War of Light with like all the different like what are they called, the Lantern Corps and like the role Batman played. If he read the War of Light, that'd be pretty impressive. And holy shit, guys, before we jump into our next segment, we have a bit of a surprise for all of you. I'm so glad that we got to pull this off. We had some technical difficulties earlier on, but it turns out that everything worked out. The planets aligned, and the Legion has its first guest. All the way from DR, we have Elias Cerulli. I'm just kidding. It's actually Cerulli.
Yeah.
Correct? There you go.
Yeah, Cerulli. Yeah, it's not the worst I've heard.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so he is a stand-up comedian for about 5-6 years, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible feat by any standards, because that seems to be one of the hardest things that anyone can do, even harder than trying to jump over tall buildings in a single bound. But so we were just talking about the incredible news with all the stuff that's going on, Spider-Man and Michael B. Jordan about to produce, like the new Static Shock movie. And we were about to hop into a fan casting for Miles Morales that we were all just trying to always see happening in honor of like the old school Wizard magazine fast castings from back in the day. Any thoughts you'd like to share on that, and then we can get to know you from there?
I'm sure I've been a super fan of like the Spider-Verse for years. So whenever I see some Spider-Verse-y thing happening, I get pretty excited. So like when I see that Andrew Garfield and Toby are being supposedly cast for the new Spider-Man. It's I'm like, I don't even care if it goes well. I'm just geeked out that it's happening. You know,
Exactly.
it's because I don't know if you guys, there's a Spider-Verse like series in comics that's wild. Like I just love all these Spider-Man, and Into the Spider-Verse was great.
So speaking of your love for Spider-Man, though, I do want to ask you, because we did have this
Yeah.
discussion in detail a few episodes ago for us, where we all decided who's our favorite live action Spider-Man. So out of coming back, Tom
Oh.
Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire, you have to say it right now on air for the whole world to know who's your favorite Spider-Man.
I think it's Holland.
And that is the right answer. Good. That's correct. That's good. Good job.
Okay, so this is about to be a fight, or is everybody on board?
No, some people hate you right now.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
that's definitely the incorrect answer, but okay.
Yeah, Ches likes Andrew Garfield.
Okay, see, like it's either Toby or Holland.
Exactly.
It's definitely not Garfield.
Garfield's hair was magical.
Yeah, I mean, because Garfield was kind of like, I think hiring Andrew Garfield for Spider-Man was kind of like getting, what's his name from Parks and Rec?
Oh, Chris Pratt.
No, not Chris Pratt. It was getting
The dude who played Ben.
yeah, with the huge hair.
Yeah. Damn, I know who you're talking
saw-
about.
Jason Schwartz.
There you go.
Oh, no, that's John Ralphio. Okay, gotcha.
Jen Ralphio,
Yeah,
exactly. Jen Ralphio. Because like Garfield's hair, I was like, how did you get this much hair into this Spider-Man costume? Like that was impossible. Like I think that was the fakest thing in Spider-Man. Just putting all this hair into this tight costume.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but my favorite Spider-Man is Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir. I don't think that'll ever be topped, and they should, if they're smart, they'll bring him for the Spider-Verse movie for a cameo.
I loved it though. That was pretty good. I liked every casting in Spider-Verse. That was great.
Oh, right, because I forgot, because Nicolas Cage voiced Spider-Man Noir in the animated film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
impressive.
Spider-Ham was
Spider-Ham is the shit.
yeah, Spider-Ham was a stand-up comedian. It was
Oh, word.
I'm so bad with names. Is the guy from Newingtown and Comeback Kid? He did a show with Nick Kroll, John Mulaney.
John Mulaney. Now, yeah,
John Mulaney, Spider-Ham.
Oh, that's wild.
he did a really good Spider-Ham. Yeah.
And to sweep back to Static Shock, I'm gonna call it again. Jaden Smith as Miles Morales.
Wait,
I see it
What?
happening.
what?
I see it happening.
In a live
You
action
want,
casting.
you want Miles Morales in the Static Shock movie?
No, I want
being played by Jaden Smith.
No, I want the same actor to be played by I want both characters to be played by the same actor.
Right,
Oh.
Elias, because right before you joined us, we were just discussing that, and Ches suggested that Jaden Smith would be a good Static Shock, and I guess he wants him to be a good Miles Morales too.
I don't think he'd be a good Static Shock though.
Thank you. I agree with that too.
I don't think so.
No, yeah, you're right. He'd be an amazing Static Shock.
Mm.
No, I don't buy it. I mean, he could be a versatile dude and he can change a lot, but I don't think I'd buy into Jaden doing Static Shock, because Static Shock he wasn't that, I don't know. He wasn't that weird in the sense of like
Exactly.
like in school, he wasn't like the weirdo kid necessarily. He was just a kid, like a pretty normal kid. So I don't know. He was also like a stronger dude. So I'd see like a bit of a chunkier dude doing Static Shock.
Yeah, that's a total. Yeah, fair enough. Fine, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it basically comes down on in can Jaden Smith play a normal person? That's we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're on the fence on that one. Yeah. Can he be normal for a little while?
Very true.
That's the question.
For the amount of money they would offer him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean everybody can play normal for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to mention right now that Elias, we're very excited that you were able to join. I do want to say, like right from earlier, where we mentioned just a little bit of technical difficulties. So for the people out there, right, because Elias is in the Dominican Republic right now.
Yeah, and we have issues with just having running electricity for longer than 24 hours. So apologies.
Exactly. But you're on right now with your your data plan, right? And you're on your phone, so
Yeah.
you're a trooper. You're doing the best you can to join.
Yeah,
Even on Zoom.
Yeah,
Today.
we're pretty used to just figuring shit out and running with it.
Right.
And
I want to.
No, I was gonna say that, and we're extremely happy and honored to have you here.
Thanks, man.
And just we wanted to know the basic thing, of course, which got us started on this podcast initially and got us all together and keeps us all together here. What got you into comic books in the first place?
So what got me into comic books was I always liked the adventure stories. When I was a kid, I was like always like the weirdo kid in school. So like I would be by myself in the library instead of like recess or just sports. So I would always be reading, and I liked adventure stories. And then I came into comics through probably like the worst method, which is I started pirating shit. Which then I stopped obviously when I was able to like understand what I was doing. But as a kid, I would just download like just massive torrents of just an infinite amount of comics. Just because I saw these characters and I saw these like I would see images on the internet or movies or animations or stuff that I could get to watch. But since we don't have comic book stores proper in the DR, I could never get to read these. This was like before Comixology took off, and that so it was harder for me to gain access to these things. So it was like, okay, I need to see more of this because I'm seeing. I love the DC animation movies because I think they're leagues ahead of the Marvel ones. Like the Marvel live action movies are way above the DC ones, but in animation, DC takes the cake. So I would see these animations and I'm like, okay, I want to know more. And one of my favorites is Green Lantern. So I wanted to know more about this guy because he had so very few roles in animation, and like his movies aren't that great. So like I think that's one of the first characters that got me into comics. I was like, okay, I need to know more. And then I read like the whole Blackest Night saga. Yeah, which is great. It's wild.
It's one of the most epic things ever written in all of comic book lore.
It's insane. So buying those for me is harder, and especially at that time when it was coming out, because like I wasn't. It's harder to afford reading comics from here, and especially things like Blackest Night, where you need to read not only the compendiums you can buy, which are easier for someone outside of the U.S., but also all these serialized crossovers and stuff, and it just becomes this pretty impossible thing to do. So I would have to do that, and then I stopped because
and I can imagine that that's also like work, because you're also having to figure out online, all right, what's the right reading order, right? Because then you're downloading massive files, I'm assuming, and making sure, what's first, what's next.
So I was like when I started reading comics proper, I was like 17, 18, I think. So you can imagine, like, I would try to find the whole reading order and then just turn it into a checklist and then just try to get everything before I started reading. Because when I started reading comics, I would go wild. Like, I'd go for just 4, 5, 6 hours straight on my computer, which was horrible to read comics on your computer. Not even an iPad. I would just and
because also this, I think that's cool because that predates from like what you said from Comixology and all. Right now, reading digital comic books, it's kind of normal.
It's way easier.
It's super easy, exactly. Back then, because I remember I used to download comics. I've done that at times before, and not anymore. But it's like exactly like how do you transition? It's just a pain in the ass to open the panels. But look at you, like busting your ass to get. Because for Blackest Night, how would you not?
Yeah, so I would read that one. I would read Top Cow. I think it's Top Cow. It was a publisher that did a lot of like the weird ones where everybody's super hot. Like what's this girl with the sort of metallic symbiote thing?
Oh,
Witchblade.
Witchblade.
Mhm.
So I think Top Cow did. It was either Top Cow or Aspen that did Witchblade.
And that's
So-
Michael Turner, no?
Rest in peace, Michael Turner.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Michael Turner, who
Mhm.
drew the prettiest Hulk ever. Good Lord, that Hulk was beautiful.
So he also had in the same world of Witchblade, you had this series. I forgot the name, but it was like these sort of aquatic people that could.
Fathom.
I forgot the name.
Which one?
But it was,
Fathom.
Fathom. Yes, that one. So that was one of the first ones I read too, and I just came across all these weird stories online, and so yeah, and even now it's easier to read comics because also they're more available, not only in the sense that they're digital, but also in the sense of regions. Like so, sometimes you wanted to buy something online that it just for some fuck reason it wasn't available to your country. Those are the worst words you can hear as someone that wants to consume content.
Yeah.
If you put on like a YouTube video or want to buy a comic book or want to buy a book and it says not available in your region or in your country, you get mad as hell because it's not like you're not trying to do something illegal. You're trying to go the right way.
That's
And
straight up
then-
like oppression of knowledge.
and then it's like, oh no, you can't. I was like, why? Because you're in the wrong country
Exactly.
to read.
Geopolitical
cannot
oppression.
Because your phone number starts with 1, so fuck you. It's like,
Damn.
what the hell? So I would resort to piracy just because, like, getting the whole Blackest Night, even if it's actually like pretty impossible from here, would run me up what, $500?
Good Lord.
Maybe more? Yeah, because the compendiums.
Yeah, if you're getting the true, paper
Or like all the tie-ins and everything. Like
if you try to get
okay.
Blackest Night, like the whole crossover reading, it would probably run me up probably more because I bought Blackest Night and Green Lantern, like the first volumes of those. And each of those was like $35. Probably, I think one was a bit more. And that's 2 books. That's just 2 books.
Word.
So not only 2 books, these are 2 heavy ass books. Then I gotta pay not shipping and courier to this country,
Oh damn word.
who charge me by the pound.
Damn.
So, yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. And we actually, thanks to Rod, I got really into Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. And I do think, like, for example, to enjoy Blackest Night, you kind of really have to read the whole run. Like that Rod really got me. And Rod, were you were buying those books as they were coming out, or you?
Yeah, it's all started with Rebirth, right? With Green Lantern Rebirth, and then it kind of ends with the War of Green Lanterns. That's how Jeff Johns ended one of the most epic runs in comic book history. And it's funny that you mentioned that you started pirating because of that storyline, because the first comic book I ever pirated was because it was sold out in the comic book stores, was a tie-in to Blackest Night. And it's the one where like Superboy Prime gets a yellow ring or some shit.
Yeah.
He has to throw down. He has to throw down with Ion or something. No, not Ion. What's the Kryptonian guy? He's not Kryptonian, but he's of that lineage.
He's short of that.
It's the Monel guy, no?
No, it's not Monel. It's I'll look it up.
Something L.
But yeah, like with those crossovers, you get so addicted to whatever's happening that there's no way for you to like stop. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna just wait for the information to be available to me, and then I'll figure out what happens. There's no way. There's no way. You just say, I'll figure out how to pay this back in the future.
It's like
right now,
I need to know
what the fuck just happened.
Like, there are priorities in life, and they have been rearranged because I read this.
Yeah. and it's very addictive.
And speaking of priorities, you're actually, just to highlight, you're already showing us how much of a true comic book fan you are and what you're willing to do to get what fucking what you need.
Yeah,
You were also mentioning to me the other day off air that also you have Neil Gaiman's autograph on
right.
the Sandman. What was it? Overture.
Overture. Yeah, it's so.
For people right now
I'm a
out
huge-
there, he's bringing out the book right now to show us.
Yeah,
And
I'm
also,
a huge Gaiman fan.
and also, it's like, how did you get that? Like, was like
I'll let
Neil
you know.
Gaiman in
Wait,
DR,
give me
or
give me 1 second. Let me get it.
He was in a resort in the DR, and I believe Elias stalked him. I think that's exactly what the story went.
No,
Neil Gaiman, is he Dominican? I don't remember.
no.
Neil,
So
Neil
Gaiman-
Gaiman.
Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman. Le dicen el guy. No, so Neil Gaiman had this interview with Junot Diaz in New York, like back when Junot Diaz wasn't a problematic name to say. So he had this thing on his birthday, right? And it was in a church in Brooklyn, which was weird already.
It's Neil
So
Gaiman.
the tickets for the show were free, but I'm in the DR, so I got two just because I wanted to have the option to then say no.
And
You know?
how long ago was this?
This was about, I think it was 3 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 years ago.
So you're in the DR, right? And just for people to know, right? Because you're in Santo Domingo, right, in the capital.
Yeah, I'm in Santo Domingo. And so I see these tickets go up and I get two just because I'd rather just have the option. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be in New York for that time. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to make it. I don't know, but I have two tickets. So I managed to get to New York by that date. It's like the tickets came up for sale, entre comillas, like 2-3 months before. So it wasn't like a rush thing. They just came up and I figured out how to be in New York for that time. And that was pretty great because then I got his signature.
He is showing us the goods, folks.
Yeah.
And I'm not
So
talking about his junk. It was the signature.
I haven't even read it because I don't like touching it a lot.
Yeah.
Like I don't like moving it too much
I could
because
imagine.
it's signed. Yeah, and I got two for a friend of mine from childhood that she's even a bigger Gaiman fan than me. I'm a huge Gaiman fan because for a while I stopped reading. Like just I read a lot and I used to read a lot. So in my teens, like I stopped like consuming a lot of novels and stuff. So when I moved to New York for a while, one of the first books that I finished and really enjoyed reading was American Gods.
Ooh, I read that
nice.
recently myself for the first time.
It's really good. It's so good. So I got, and like it's a misleading book because the beginning is pretty slow. It's like a slow burn kind of beginning. So you kind of feel fooled as to what you're reading. So if anybody's gonna read this book or is reading it right now, just
keep going, stick with it.
Yeah, keep going because
Gaiman opens up a whole world to you.
It's purposeful so that you feel like this real world is getting, hammered.
And then you gotta assume it's pretty fucking good because it got made into a show, right?
Yeah, it got made into a show, and it's a pretty good show.
I saw the first season. I saw the first season. It was really good. I gotta check out the second, but the production value was on point.
Yeah, and I think they did some really good adaptations of certain characters.
And like Neil Gaiman's been popping lately too, right? Because also we have the American God show was made not that long ago, all right? And then recently, we had his audiobooks come out that Rod loved, and we've been dying to check out. But who
his audiobooks came out, and I think he's working on a Sandman adaptation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I have no idea how the fuck they're gonna pull that one off.
There's a show on Amazon Prime too, right? That's based off of his work. With like angels and devils or some shit.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, Good Omens. Good Omens is so good.
I started watching it, but I think it got canceled. No,
it's a miniseries.
Oh, it was a miniseries. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a 6-7 episode run.
I started
and it's great because David Tennant is on it, and he's amazing. And it's a fun story. I really like the Good Omens story, and it's a really good book because it was written between him and Terry Pratchett, and Terry Pratchett was the shit. Um, and he
Who was
had
Terry
like a
Pratchett?
what?
Who's her?
So Terry Pratchett wrote what has to be the most convoluted reading experience, which is Discworld. I don't know if you've ever heard of Discworld, but Discworld is this just whole universe where
Wait, and a quick side note that I just realized that he just stumped the entire Legion just now. That's that has to be noted that we are literally all just sitting down like kids around the campfire, like
Wait, what?
like
tell
what
us
is
more.
this?
Tell us more.
I googled the shit out of that
Yeah.
man as soon as he said it.
But wait, just to confirm but we're not talking, is this a graphic novel? Because the Good Omens isn't a graphic novel. No, it's an actual.
No, it's a novel. It's a novel.
Nah,
I
then
think
we
so-
don't read. It doesn't have, if it doesn't have images, fuck that.
I need
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah.
No, I think there's some Discworld graphic novels though, and I would suggest you experiment with the Discworld reading thing because you can start. It literally doesn't have like a linear reading order. You have like different entry points into that universe, so it's wild. So yeah, check it out. Terry Pratchett was a great guy.
Damn. All right.
But
Look at that.
yeah.
That's a first here. I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, man. So
But
it's
yeah,
it's
I mean-
dope to see that you've been dedicated to this stuff, man. And so what's the latest? Is there anything, like you were talking about your passion for The Blackest Night and how far you went to read that? Is there what's the latest shit you've been reading that fucking like?
So I haven't read comics in a while. The last things I read were East of West, Saga, and Paper Girls.
Nice.
So I bought the next ones for East of West and Saga, which I got like recently. But then I was buying some stuff for work online, and then I got this one because it just looked amazing, which is Descender.
Oh, nice.
So I have not started reading it yet. I'm finishing a book about extinctions. So I'm trying to get done with that one before I get into this one. But I really like comics, and I was talking with Miguel about how what I like about comics is how weird they get. Like there's some stories you'll only get in comic book form because whenever they even try to get made for live action, there's no way to bring to life some worlds, or you need someone with just this huge creative grasp of imagination that can be able to do it. Like I don't know how they're going to pull Dune off, for example, which is just a novel, but still in these, the paper holds more than the film sometimes, oftentimes. So like for example, the aesthetic for Star Wars was brought about by this this comic that got later turned into a movie what was the name? It's like a French comic that pretty much built the whole aesthetic for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then it got made into a movie that just resembles Star Wars a lot because it was referencing that happens, which there's a source material that makes for inspiration for a thing, and then the original thing for it references the sort of, so there's like a cycle, like a weirdly cyclical thing there.
I'm seeing Valerian and Lorelei.
Yeah, Valerian and the Thousand Suns.
That sounds insane.
Yeah. So that's where the whole aesthetic for Star Wars came up, which is cool. I really got into the EU for Star Wars as a while too, which I was really sad about losing when the new movies came out. That shit broke my heart. Like the whole Sith mythology is crazy.
And then you're saying exactly, like it's hard to kind of, that's the beauty of the comic books, that they can get as wacky, as crazy, as fantastical as they can, and it's really hard to recreate that in movies. I do think that's probably why we're kind of now at a place where we're getting the best possible comic book movies that we've ever gotten, right? Because the technology's there. You know, obviously sometimes we've mentioned this before, where like we can get a little bit tired of so much CGI, but at least it's still good and you're still liking it. But there's shit like you mentioned, you know, you've been reading Saga. Saga's an amazing fucking book. I think all of us here love it. Well, wait, no, Chess, you haven't read Saga, right?
I have not. I have that shit in my backlog on Comixology. Like, my backlog on Comixology, because of Unlimited and having access to free shit, is so big. But I have like all of it. I have like all of Invincible on that shit. I have all of like Saga. I think it's on there. Like, I got a backlog. I got to read that shit.
Yeah, but Saga's a must, dude. You have to read Saga.
Saga's great.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely on my
it'd
bucket
be a
list.
trip how to see Saga like made into live, you know, action like that. That'd be really
And
fun.
it
I don't
has
think
to
we're
happen, right? It has to happen.
At this point, what I'm seeing is when it comes to that type of shit, is a matter of when, not if. Like, if a comic has had like a massive selling streak and it's super critically acclaimed, like all the big companies that are streaming now, they're all just scrapping at any intellectual property.
Right.
So
And-
it's only a
and
matter of
you would-
when.
Yeah, and you'd think, right? Because Why the Last Man is one of Brian K. Vaughan's most famous comic book runs. The only comic book I think in the history of me reading to make me cry. And y'all know that have read Why the Last Man, the panels that elicited that response. But that shit's been in pre-production hell forever.
I got chills.
It's like it was gonna be a movie first with Shia LaBeouf, and then it was gonna be a series at Amazon, and then who knows where the fuck that shit is now.
Yeah, now it's like production hell.
It's going to be a series of movies on Amazon with Shia LaBeouf.
the worst timeline.
Yo, when is Shia LaBeouf gonna, bless us with a superhero movie or a show? I got him as my Moon Knight, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
He did a really
crazy.
good. He did you see him in the last movie? He was the David Ayer.
No, where he was like brown face, no? Like people commented.
No, he wasn't brown face. No. He was a white guy who just hung with Latino dudes.
What was it? Like
Alright.
Peanut Butter Falcon or like something like that? That was
Butter
the other
Falcon.
movie.
What?
He recently did a movie called Peanut Butter Falcon, right? I'm not tripping. That's the title of the movie.
The closest
there
thing
was-
Shia LaBeouf has done for comic book movies has been like the Transformer films, no?
Yeah, which were pretty epic in their own right.
Yeah.
I wish you would have stuck with those. Those things are awesome.
Yeah, but I just googled, and it seems apparently Why the Last Man, the TV series, it was supposed to set to premiere during the 2021 season on FX on Hulu. So it was set to premiere. So who knows? Is it like they might still premiere it? That would be fucking amazing. That would be incredible to see that.
So I have a question. Like, what are the wildest? What would you say is your wildest comic book reading? But also, what's your like not wildest? Because I also like comics that aren't sci-fi and aren't fantasy. Because like one of my favorite comic books is Blankets. And Blankets, that shit made me cry on page 10. I was at the doctor's just waiting, and I started reading this because I'd heard it was great. I'd bought it, and I'd rented it out because I have this sort of library, and I hadn't read it yet. And then I started reading it, and I'm just at the doctor's, just waiting on my turn, and I'm crying. And it looks like I just got bad news at the doctor's, but
I want to say that at the beginning before you started telling us, I thought you were going to say that you cried so much because of Blankets that it made you go to the doctor.
oh no.
Like that's how good it was.
Like he was concerned. He's like, I need to get this checked. Like, why am I crying so much?
Yeah, something with my tear ducts, man.
like that's how good
gushing.
it was. What was that series about?
So Blankets is kind of memoir thing about this guy and his experiences as a child, but then also as a young adult, teenager, and love. And it's a comic book. I think it's it's written and drawn by the same person, I think. And the panels are some of the most beautiful panels I've ever seen in anything ever. It's all black and white. But it's just, it looks amazing. Like every panel feels like its very own work of art. There's some panels that I would just take photos and scan it and just use it as my backdrop for my phone.
Damn, that's crazy.
Because it looked so great. Just look for some examples for blankets, and you'll see that this just looks amazing. There's one where it's him holding on to the girl he was seeing, and there's all this like, because he gets very poetic with what he's drawing, so it's a very real thing. But what I like about comics is that you can get poetic without getting fake, and you can put all sorts of references into your panels without them interrupting the flow of your story. Like if you read Sandman, you'll see that sometimes in, let's say they're in a library or like a home, and there's some things in the background that references something else, but it's not interrupting the flow of your story. But if you focus, if you take the time, you'll see like all these neat little details. So it's pretty great.
It'll be like a Shakespeare Easter egg or something along those lines and stuff like that.
Word.
Yeah.
Damn, that sounds like a trip. I haven't even heard about blankets before actually, and definitely curious to check it out. I haven't read anything I think like that. Like what about you guys, Chaz, Rod?
I mean, I would say the craziest story arc, which it caught me by surprise, was as a kid, and I think Rod knows what I'm going to say because I threw it up on the page recently as like my
This
pick
is
for
the
week.
moment. It's gonna happen.
It would definitely have to be Crimson. That was basically the craziest story arc. It was by Cliffhanger Comics, which was an imprint of, I forgot of what company. I think it was Wildstorm or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And it was about this kid named Alex Elder who gets attacked by vampires and then gets thrown into this weird apocalyptic conflict while he's getting mentored by like the people that came before Adam and Eve, and it involves like esoteric holy orders. It's an insanely like,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, it's super layered. But the art by Humberto Ramos is amazing. It is some of the most beautiful art, and the ink is just so well done. It might be, like I said, it might be the craziest story arc I've ever read to date. Like it's the only story arc I've read over and over the course of my life. Look up Crimson. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Yeah. That felt so good.
4 tomes, right?
Yeah, 4 tomes. There's 4 different tomes. Yeah. And it's to the point that like it took me like a few years to accumulate them all. And that was after the series had ended years ago. That's how good it was that I hunted down all 4 volumes.
Nice.
Yeah. For me, it's a tough question to answer. Like the wildest or like the most off the beaten path comic book. There are a few. I mean, I want to throw the original Crow series by James O'Barr. Beautifully drawn. I'm not going to say it's better than the movie because very few things are better than that movie, but it's definitely like a different take because like the whole murder sequence, it's different. It's kind of like a different story. The movie did its own thing, playing off the same storyline. So I would put that, and even more indie. I guess we're going a little bit indie with this. I'd say A Stray Bullets by David Lapham. I don't know if you guys read that one.
I've heard of that.
I think he also writes and draws that one. That's a
damn.
You know, it's not a superhero book. It's just like a trippy, like how fucking odd is America type of comic book.
Yeah.
Oh, Stray Bullets. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've seen it. Like I've heard that recommended as like one of those books that you should probably read. You know, cool. I'll check that out.
And also, that was a bit of a quick, deep cut right there because that would mean that for those of you who might not know, and if I'm not mistaken, The Crow is one of the OG comic book films then.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people, I'm assuming, would not know that. Like that movie is that I think that movie has definitely gone beyond being a cult classic. It's a classic. That movie's like, it's a classic. And a lot of people don't know. Yeah, that's a comic book movie.
Yep, and it still hits to this day. Like I watched it maybe like during the quarantine or something. I still loved every scene that Brendan Lee is in. He steals every scene that he's in.
Wait. So The Crow was a comic book first, or they made a movie and then they made a comic book about the movie?
The comic book is first. James O'Barr, after his fiance, you know, they were in a car accident. She died. You know, to handle with his grief, he wrote a comic book series, and it ended up being The Crow. And I think the comic book is actually darker than the movie, if you can believe that. And it's beautiful art. It was recently recollected in a prestige format. So yeah, and then the Brandon Lee film came out and just created a whole goth rave nightclub fascination in movies and shit.
Yeah.
That is an awesome piece of information. I legit got some goosebumps just listening to that. I never knew that. That's crazy. So yeah, people out there of you who don't know, The Crow is a comic book movie. Boom. Well, I would say a comic book film.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I knew there was comics for the Crow, but I didn't know they came before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole character, his whole history is in tragedy, right? He was born of tragedy. The film ended in tragedy.
And of
Yeah.
course, the following Crow like all the sequels go on the same list as what's it called? Mortal Kombat Annihilation and Rocky 5. They do not exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blade Trinity, throw that shit in
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
too.
That same that giant fucking crappy nexus of shit movies that do not exist on Earth.
Yeah, that we ignore.
And now, of course, another obvious question that everyone out here would definitely is going to want to know about Elias is, what's your favorite superhero, man? Like, we all got one. I'm glad that you had mentioned that you read Rebirth, because I am a Green Lantern fan to the point that I have his logo tattooed on my chest.
Nice.
Where do your loyalties
My
lie?
priorities.
Yeah.
I don't know. Superhero is a wide concept in comics. Each day, more and more.
You can go anti-hero if you want. That's fine.
So, like, I think I would say, like, in classical superheroes, I would say Green Lantern as well, because I like most superheroes, sure, but some I can't relate to. Like, I can't relate to a Thor story. Like, I wouldn't really care much about reading Thor. I think I'm more excited about reading the newest things where he's like split from Mjolnir and there's like a girl Thor and stuff. But I think it would be Green Lantern because of what he represents. Because I've always been a guy who values willpower. Not necessarily. I don't feel like the most willpower kind of guy, though. I'm more driven by curiosity.
But you value it.
But I value it a lot, and so I think my favorites would be Green Lantern because it's either between Green Lantern and Iron Man, but more than Iron Man, Tony Stark. Like not the heroic feats, but like the depressed guy who tries to do the best he can.
Wow.
But I feel
I
like
get
those
that.
are very wildly different characters, no?
Yeah,
Like, you
very
got-
much.
I mean, yeah, but people are wildly different within themselves.
Yeah.
So for me, like Green Lantern, I remember this comic I was reading with Parallax where he's fighting.
We got Rod showing exactly what you're describing.
The demon
Yeah.
in the bottle cover.
Yeah. So like with Green Lantern, I remember this one time he was fighting Parallax, and Parallax is asked like yelling at him, like, why won't you stop?
Right.
Like, why won't you stop fighting against me? Because like you're gonna lose or whatever. And Hal's like, I couldn't even if I knew how to. Like he just can't stop himself from trying to push and to just push through. And then with Iron Man is this same thing as with David Duchovny's character in Californication, where he's a sad piece of shit, but he knows what being sad is like. So he's trying to like help the others, He's trying to just do the best he can, and he fucks up enormously and constantly.
Right. And,
So
and actually that point makes me think is because, right, one of the iconic stories for Iron Man back in the day was like he had to deal with his alcoholism and it really got in the fucking way. He almost hurt people being an alcoholic. And I can't remember off the top of my head any other characters like that, superhero or anti-hero, that's had to deal with some kind of addiction like that and then kind of overcome it. Rod,
definitely not mainstream.
I got one. Moon Knight. Moon Knight he's like a schizophrenic. He's been on all kinds of pills, and I remember the run that started in about 2007, drawn by Finch.
Right.
Where like the opening sequence is him just like in a trap house with like pills scattered all
Damn.
about him, and then he like finds the will to reclaim that his title as the Moon Knight and shit like that. So that's another like
There's a Batman one.
hard luck hero.
And you know what's funny?
Batman Venom.
I think I see like
Mhm.
I think I see kind of like an underlying theme with all these characters that you guys named, and it's funny that we started with Green Lantern. It seems to be they all have strong willpower.
Oh.
Microphone drop. I'm out. Peace. I'm done with this episode. Goodbye, guys.
Are we gonna go with like favorite comic book character, like ever, or keep it to superhero?
Oh.
Damn. Because favorite comic book.
How about we just open it
Let's
up?
make it broader. Let's do it.
Favorite comic book character ever. Shit. That's too big of a question almost.
I'm gonna go first, and you guys know what the fuck I'm gonna say. The guys that know me.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna go with Nightwing.
What?
Because you know how like in Dragon Ball Z, we got to see like the characters grow up. Like Gohan
Yeah.
got to grow up. Comic book characters were always static to me. Like Robin was always a teenager.
Very true.
Peter
Yeah.
Parker is always a teenager. And then I remember in season 4 of Batman the Animated Series, where we see Nightwing for the first time, and there's like a new littler Robin, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, there's progression here. Like
Yeah.
people are growing up, and at that time I'm in high school. I'm trying to like to figure shit out myself, and seeing him kind of like because Batman is the almighty father figure to me.
Mhm.
I always feel like he's the perfect man that you want to model yourself after. I mean, some people think about Jesus, whatever, blah, blah, whatever. I think about Bruce
I
Wayne,
mean,
right?
Batman,
And Batman.
Jesus, basically the same thing.
Same thing, except anyway, no, I'm not gonna get into that. but yes, it was cool to see that now, and also it showed growth in the Batman character, that one of his sons grew up and left the house. I'm like, okay, comic books are moving forward. It's not the same thing where these guys never age.
It's not the same.
So
static thing.
that's my favorite character right there.
Damn, that's a really good reason
Yeah,
right there.
that's a deep one.
Let's pass it over to the guest, Elias. What would be your favorite character? Would you still stick with Green Lantern, or is there now making it more broad? It doesn't have to be a superhero, right? So
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a superhero. So I don't really know. Like beyond superheroes, most comic book characters tend to be a bit more. I don't know, because Sandman. Fuck, I don't know.
yeah, because I'm wondering, because outside of a superhero books, I think most main characters, like either they like, do they grow in the same?
Very personal.
Yes, exactly.
I think probably the one. There's one I was talking to Miguel ayer, which it's thing is you can't really separate these characters from their stories. So this character would only work in this story, and I don't think it would be my favorite because I don't really play for favorites, but I think it's one of the most impactful ones, which is the main character in Day Tripper. So Day Tripper for me was a very impactful comic because I was going through some shit. Like I was going through depression, through how is life meaningful? So I found this comic while I was living in Spain, and I found it in Spanish, which is not necessarily my favorite way to read comics unless they're made in Spanish.
Yeah.
But this book is made by Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba, who are, I think, Brazilian.
And twin brothers, actually.
Yeah, twin brothers. They just use different names.
And just to put like the mishmash of all the nationalities that you just put in. So you're a dude who's Dominican, who's in Spain, who's reading a comic book by Brazilian creators. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's actually written in English.
That's written in English. I just wanted to encapsulate that real quick. I didn't want to let that go by.
It's globalization. The comic.
Exactly.
So this book is interesting because the main character dies at the end of every chapter.
Damn.
Right. So he dies at the end of every chapter. So the whole book goes through his whole life, right? So this book is trying to answer, or trying to at least show, like, does life matter more or less because it was cut short or it went longer?
Damn.
So like, so like it'll give you like the segment where he meets someone that he thinks is going to be the love of his life. So they meet and they're supposed to meet by the beach at night, but then he ends up drowning going on the boat. So then that's where that story ends, the sort of promise of unfulfilled love and what would have happened. But then the next chapter starts and they've been together for like 5 or 7 years and they're actually separating. So now like you start the question, like, is it worse or better that he kept on, like, that his life kept on going? So by killing him at different chapters of his life and then just sort of continuing the next chapter as if he never died, makes you wonder, like, how is life meaningful? Or is life meaningful at every moment and the exercise of it? Or is it meaningful because you fulfilled? So it blew my mind because I was in a hard moment. So I think that would be my personal favorite, just because it hit me at the right time.
And then in this story, does the character have awareness of this and knows, like,
No.
it's
it's
know
sort
as
of
the
meta
reader?
thing.
Okay.
Yeah, you as a reader know, but it's not. So the next chapter just keeps on as if the dark ending of the previous chapter didn't happen. So if the dark ending was, oh, he was going to meet this girl, but he drowned, then the next chapter continues as if he actually met her and life went on.
That's trippy.
It's, yeah.
Hence the title.
Hence Day Tripper. Yeah.
That's I definitely want to read. I gotta check. There's several stories that you've told us that for us to definitely include.
Yeah, man. There's just like so many characters out there. Oddly enough, I'm torn between two very interesting villains. Oddly enough, and like I want to say they're one of my favorites. Like I think characters of all time. Like it would be Bane, but I think I'm actually torn between Ra's al Ghul and Lex Luthor. Because and those would be, I think, my two favorite comic book characters outside of like your standard hero archetype, or even outside of your standard villain archetype, is because these are two men who could literally save the world. Oddly enough, like if you think about it, these two men could actually do more good for the world than the heroes that stop them.
Yeah. But they choose not to.
Yeah, but they choose not to. Like I think it's comic book canon that Lex Luthor could have cured cancer if he wasn't so obsessed with Superman.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if Superman wanted to do good, he'd just move out of the planet.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if Ra's al Ghul didn't slightly just take like a dark turn with his justification of shit, he'd be able to save the planet. But like not want to kill everyone to, like be like a bullshit like agent of the green or some shit like that. But I think I would honestly be torn. You know what? I'm gonna say Lex Luthor just because of the amount of good that he could do, but his own bullshit just stops him. Like a lot of us out there.
I mean, Jeff Bezos says what?
Exactly. Yeah, basically. You know what? There you go. Exactly.
Which iteration would you say is the best Lex Luthor?
Oh, whew, of course, the fucking Batman Superman Adventures wavy ass Lex Luthor with the deep voice, voiced by, if I'm not mistaken, Clancy Brown, I think his name is, the dude who also voices the Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants.
What? Wow.
You'll never see SpongeBob again with the same eyes.
Yeah, the same guy. Are you ready? Like Mr. Krabs, if I'm not mistaken, is Clancy Brown, who is also the main bad guy in the first season of the live action Punisher with John Bernthal.
What the fuck?
That's the voice of Lex Luthor.
What? We need fact checkers on this. We need to double check. This is all.
Go ahead. Rod's on it.
Rod's on.
Right, because you can just keep adding characters, and I would be like, "What?"
Exactly. Like, you can be like, and he also
did My Little Pony. He was rapping.
Like what? But yeah, Rod.
If he's on My Little Pony, I'm gonna cry. I'm just die laughing.
No, but yeah,
This prolific voice actor also did Surtur in Thor Ragnarok. This guy has
Oh.
quite a resume. Yes, SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs. Fucking what else we got here?
Jesus Christ.
Then Taskmaster. He's done Parallax in the
He did
Green Lantern
Parallax?
movie. What the fuck?
Whoa.
This guy was on everything.
Yeah, he's in everything. He's the new Kevin Bacon.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Clancy Brown, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a god, man. He's epic.
Damn. All right, so that's a good.
I dig.
That's a good choice. Lex Luthor
Shout-
and then deep details, man.
And plus, kind of like, I'm just gonna go ahead. Hashtag don't cancel Ches. I feel, I feel like that Lex Luthor is black, and I feel that Lex Luthor should be a black man.
Which is happening if you watch the Harley Quinn animated
Right.
series, which I fucking love. It's one of the best shows out right now. They are converting Lex Luthor and Selena Kyle to black characters.
That's what I'm talking
Which
about.
is just fucking awesome.
Yeah,
It makes sense
exactly,
to me.
exactly. Because in the show, he is black. Like he's dark,
Yeah,
skin.
it makes sense.
And then the voice, as we mentioned, I think in the last episode, is Giancarlo Esposito. You know, from Breaking Bad fame and The Mandalorian and another most recent.
the boys.
Yeah,
Boys, exactly.
I feel like for some reason, kind of like they put Lex in like it's not like they did, with like a Nick Fury where like he was white then he became black, but at times they put him in this like weird like the Batman and Superman Adventures Lex. You don't know what he is, but it's like you get the hint that he's black for some reason.
It's because he has those luscious lips,
And-
and no other character had luscious lips.
and then like and then like the sultry voice of Clancy is like,
Yeah, it's like,
what is this Lex? But yeah.
Can I make one question before we go to Miguel?
Yeah.
Do you have characters that you prefer their animated, like their voice actors over their live action actors?
Oh man, I got. Can I? May
Yeah,
I
do it,
please?
do it.
Kevin fucking Conroy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kevin
Even Mark
Conroy.
Hamill, like you. Oh my god, like
No.
these guys just defined the voices of these characters. In my mind, when I'm reading a comic book, they're voicing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we talked about this in I don't remember which episode. I think it was the Origins episode or something where we went into the Batman discussion about who's the best Batman, who's the best Bruce Wayne in live action, and we criticized the voices, right? Also, the Batman voice is a little bit different from all the actors. Some more cartoony, some less. But Kevin Conroy has had the best Batman voice, Bruce Wayne voice. He is Batman, and Mark Hamill too as the Joker. That's like the only thing.
Yeah.
The Joker, that I will say, the latest iteration by Alan Tudyk in the Harley Quinn show, he's a pretty good Joker, and like his voice is pretty good. And yeah, no, those are the best. Like, yeah.
I would say more than pretty good. I'd say he's like really, really good.
Hell yeah.
And shit, I
One of the-
mean, like, and let's not forget that Kevin Conroy did us the honor and the favor of playing a live action Bruce Wayne in the Arrowverse. We actually got blessed by that. So technically, you can say, Kevin Conroy is the best Batman.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean that's a really good statement. Yeah, that's.
But let me
Fuck, I didn't remember.
do you have a
No,
preference, Elias? Do you have anyone that you prefer as an animated?
obviously, Green Lantern, like Hal Jordan, voiced by I'm so shit with names today. The guy from Firefly.
Oh,
what's his-
Nathan Fillion. I think?
Nathan
Yes,
Fillion.
Nathan
Like-
Fillion.
I think I got tired of Fillion with Destiny, but because I love Firefly, I love Serenity, and him as the Green Lantern was just amazing. Because then it's an unfair comparison though, because I don't think Green Lantern has ever gotten justice again on anything besides animation.
And there's only been one live action version, right? We just got Ryan.
Yeah,
Reynolds.
and it sucks horribly. And even he knows it. Like Ryan Reynolds is like aware. He knows it wasn't a good movie. But I do think Hal Jordan is probably the best. Mark Hamill just defines for me like what Joker is though.
Hell yes.
It's just installed in my head. Cuz like I don't know. Like when I see Batman when I see this guy, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with names today, but when I see this guy who played the Joker,
Heath Ledger.
for Heath Ledger, when I see Heath Ledger playing Joker, it's like, oh, he's so good. He's almost like Mark Hamill. You know?
Yeah. Let me see. Me, I think I would have to have like a bit of a double answer because like all right, so first I want to go with a bit of a obscure one. So it's not really that the live action one is better because it's the best iteration of the voice. The dude who did the voice for Optimus Prime in the live action movies, oh
Oh,
my god. Like
yeah,
even though those movies got progressively shittier, when that
yeah,
dude spoke, for some reason you listened.
yeah. It's like grandpa speaking.
Exactly. Yeah, like you're like it's Optimus Prime. Like Optimus is speaking. And and then one would be a bit of an inverse to your question. It would be I didn't like how they portrayed the character, but I wish he would have voiced the character. Um and it would be in the Arrowverse having Manute Bennett play Deathstroke. I wish he would have voiced the character because I thought the character kind of looked like crap in the Arrowverse.
Mm. But the
If they-
voice, you like the
Yeah,
look.
his voice was so good. I love
Yeah.
Manute Bennett's voice. Oh my god, like
Rod disagrees hard, I think, right?
Rod is wrong for disagreeing.
No, we can't. I'm not gonna get to the Deathstroke thing now, but I thought he did a good job as a live action.
No. For example,
Deathstroke.
like I think like him outside of the suit, he did a great job. The voice, but when he was like as Deathstroke and he was suited up, I felt like he was getting ready to play paintball.
Yeah, the version 2.0, right? Because there's the original flashback scenes in Arrow where it's like a cloth mask.
Oh,
I thought
yeah,
that
yeah,
shit
yeah,
was dope. I thought he looked
Yeah.
really cool that way, and then he got all like, nerfed.
Yeah, exactly.
Nerfed out. And
Yeah.
I mean, he did look like he was like sponsored by Nerf themselves, if that's what you meant. Like, like he did look he was sponsored by Nerf. But yeah, I would say yeah. Like oddly enough, it would be like the inverse. I wish that dude did the voice of Deathstroke.
Forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like he would be like the Kevin Conroy of Deathstroke. Manu Bennett.
Damn, it's high
you
praise.
guys know Michael Chiklis voiced Slade in the most recent Knights and Dragons animated feature.
Which I
Deathstroke.
still gotta watch, but I've seen some clips and I can hear Manu Bennett's voice. Chickless sounded okay, but
And Chiklis is the guy who was the Thing, right? In
Yeah,
the Fantastic Four.
the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chick. Which I'll say that I would go as far as to say that suit, that shit worked for its time. I don't care what anybody says. The Thing in that movie looked great. I don't care. Don't judge me. I will not be judged.
We're not gonna open that can of worms right now.
Yeah.
We're just gonna walk away from that.
Fair enough.
Jesus Christ. Well, is there anything left? I think we've touched upon.
I think we're missing your favorite character.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Miguel. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, it's
You can round
easy.
this out.
And I've said this before in other episodes, and for me, I think I'd always has to go to Spider-Man. And Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he's always been my favorite character. And I think for kind of along the same lines of what you guys mentioned, like Elias with the willpower and Rod with the growth, because at least like for me, what I liked about Spider-Man, specifically Peter Parker, right? Because he's had to overcome some fucked up shit on his own throughout his life, right? With first, obviously, losing his parents and then losing Uncle Ben, and then just having to deal with that and then losing Gwen Stacy and like so much death in his life. And he never had the cushion of like, the money that Iron Man has, right? Or like
or Batman.
yeah, exactly. Or the fame of Captain America and being the super soldier. No, it was just some dude from Queens, at that time, like a nerd, wasn't, popular in high school. And so like, I don't know, there's all these things that I could relate to, and then just seeing him overcome, and he was like nerdy and shit. And then it was great that in the comic books do see him. He like graduates high school, goes to college, graduates college and that kind of stuff. And then eventually he gets married and shit. But then that goes away, and so there's been growth. There's been growth, especially in the last few years. There's been even more growth. He was a CEO of his own company and like like a technology company. And so I like that. That's why like the current run, I'm not a big fan because they've kind of brought him back to the basics. And I'm like, you're kind of deleting the growth he had. as a character, and especially now that we have Miles Morales Spider-Man, like we can revisit that stuff with him. Like he's in high school, growing. So that's what I've loved about him, because he's had that willpower to go through his shit. And he's grown. He's actually changed as a character, and he's always had humor, right? Like he's always just had a good mood about it. He's the one that makes the best jokes, like when in any kind of situation. And he is rumored to be like as one of the strongest heroes out there. There's been a lot of different events that kind of point at that, at his strength, that he's always going to overcome shit. And so, like, for me, that I think Spider-Man's always like, he's just close to my heart. Love him.
He's also the first superhero that showed me that superheroes can be broke.
Word.
Facts. If there's anyone that's had financial struggles, it is Peter fucking Parker.
It's fucking Peter Parker.
Yo, exactly.
He's like,
he's lived on many couches. Like he's like, I've seen so many of like issues where he's just crashing in different people's places. Like I'm like, I can relate to that shit.
He's the one. He's the one character who could like hold a series like How to Be a Hero and like $1 a day type shit.
Yeah.
And all right, guys, I think that about wraps up our first episode with a guest here for the Legion. It is definitely our honor and our pleasure to have Mr. Elias Ceruje, which I made sure to say it correctly this time.
And don't worry about that, Elias, because he always pauses even when saying our name. It's always we're the Legion on Zoom, right?
That is because I have a weird stutter. It's a mental thing. Don't judge me.
It's for dramatic effect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go with it, guys.
It's actually because I
yeah.
It's actually because I get insanely nervous. But so all you guys know, his latest special, Inofensivo, dropped in August 21st of this year.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that it's gotten already, what is it, like over 60,000 views, right? So I highly recommend it.
65,000. Which because I had to fight my manager and my friend, like my colleagues, to publish it on YouTube because they didn't believe we could get over 10,000 views. And I thought we were gonna get 50K like December, like maybe starting January. And the fact that I got to 65 and it's half of October. It's been pretty great. So I recorded the show last year and we published it this year, and it was great to have this because for all this pandemic bullshit, so just being able to put out content. So it's on my website and it's also on YouTube. My website's just eliasceruje.com, and there you can like either see it for free, or if you can afford to either buy it or donate it, you can also do that, because I haven't done shows since March. So financially.
Yeah.
So yeah, check it out. There's a lot of Dominican stuff to it, but I think it plays pretty well to other audiences. So don't feel like, I'm probably not gonna get it, because I think Latin American troubles are pretty wide set. And it's not just things that pertain to my country.
Definitely. And I can vouch for that as a Mexican myself, although I've been immersed in the Dominican culture for many years, like here with my boys, and like my wife's Dominican, right? And so, but exactly, I could still I could relate, I could understand a lot of the points that you were making, and you showed today, right? Obviously they're very witty, very smart jokes, very about truth. But in a very good way that you're not scared to challenge, right? And like you said, like the title says, like not really offensive, but very, very good. I like it.
It's very true.
A quick question, just for clarification: is it in Spanish or in English? The special?
It's in Spanish. Okay. It's in Spanish. Yeah, I'm trying to I don't think we have that many big names in Spanish, so I'm just working on being able to just foster comedy in Spanish. Like if I go to the States, it becomes like this wild battle. Like doing stand-up in the States in English, it's a pretty set course. Like you got to do 10 years of open mics and just grind like a motherfucker. So then I'm trying to do comedy for Spanish-speaking people. Firstly,
awesome, definitely. Awesome. And hey, man, listen, after talking to you and seeing how much you grind from what we've heard, Don't be surprised if a green ring smacks you in the forehead while you're walking down the street.
Yeah, I forgot how much I like Green Lantern until today because I haven't read his stuff in a while.
Well, you know what? You kind of embody being a lantern in a way, considering your craft. So definitely glad
Thanks,
that you
man.
rediscovered that.
Yeah, thanks. So I have a great time. I haven't talked about comics in a while, and since we don't have that many comic book readers here, it's been good.
Well, listen, man, we would fucking love to have you back. It's been a great pleasure for ours. And then for all our fans out there, as usual, like I said in the beginning, get used to it. I'm Ches.
And I'm Miguel.
Rod.
Later,
And our guest. Sign off, guest. Come on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I'm Elias.
There you go. There you go. An honorable sign off for our incredible guest.
Cue music. And also one last thing. We're all Legion of Doom members. And I think it's pretty obvious which one you are, right? I'm Bizarro. Ches is Lex, and that's who you picked, right? As your favorite.
Yeah.
We got Megestro and you.
Oh, that's a good point. Exactly. Because if you remember from our logo, we're all members of Doom. You have to get
It's a no-brainer. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer.
Oh, I know what you're thinking. Yes. Let's go for it, Rod. Let him know. Who is he?
The Joker, Mike. Come on. He's a comedian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was thinking
plays.
I was thinking Toyman, but I was thinking Super Friends.
Oh, Toyman.
I did a TEDx, and I actually talked about the Joker on TEDx. So I hope it someday comes out because I haven't seen it. But I talked about Joker, the comedian, and Kefka from Final Fantasy VI.
So he's either El Guasón or El Juguetero.
El Juguetero. El Juguetero sounds weird.
El Juguetero.
Sounds like you got arrested for sexual harassment.
Listen,
El
man.
Juguetero goes back to prison for harassing women in Central Park.
It's a dark world out there, and we are the Legion on Zoom. All right, guys. Love you all. Always an honor. Always a pleasure. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
Deuces.
Peace.
Legion on Zoom, starring and produced by Jose Perez, aka Ches, Rodney Martinez, and myself, Miguel Arce. Please subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or shoot us an email at legiononzoom@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Legion on Zoom.